Hi, well, I've been having a comment exchange a little bit with the Invincible Numinist, and I don't want to just talk about that, but he was talking about Romney, and there's just some things, and I like the Invincible Numinist, but he has a few of these cliched ideas, I think. So he was talking about hating Romney for the wrong reasons. I won't go into the subtlety of his argument, but I just dropped a comment saying the government can't create jobs because I'm just tired of this as a debate. Of course, and so I said the government can create jobs. Invincible Numinist said, yeah, but that's not Romney's opinion, so it's besides the point. Well, I think it is Romney's opinion. First of all, like, he wants us to open more leases for drilling oil on government land. Is that going to create jobs? Didn't he say he was going to create jobs as president? Oh, but he thinks businesses actually create them. Yeah, and he wants to create the conditions where businesses do that. That's what everybody means when they talk about the government creating jobs. I was talking about a perfectly good example of and why it's better. Okay, because the government can go ahead and build, a freeway between two cities, and you get jobs right away from starting to build it, and then you get jobs from people using it. Okay, and this works. And so, but the reactions to this kind of thing are often like, well, sometimes you're a bridge to nowhere. Well, let's talk about the bridge to nowhere. That might not have been the best use of that amount of money, but it was a bridge to an international airport. It's a place in Alaska. The town has an airport on an island just off the coast. It's like a town that has 200,000 visitors a year, and there's only 20,000 people in it. It's a beautiful part of Alaska. People use that airport. If they had a bridge over to the island, not only would they have a bridge to their airport, but they would probably develop stuff on that island, right, and along the road. It would be used. Now, would it be used, $200 million worth? Well, I don't know. You have to decide. Whether you have a one-car garage or two-car garage, how many guests do you really have? And, that's... But even if it was, a bad way to spend that amount of money, in general, it's not, and it's not a bridge to nowhere. People will use those kinds of roads. That road would have been used. And frankly, I probably think help that place grow. So in 10, 20 years, yeah, you'd see the effects of this kind of investment. Another guy said, any arbitrary task can be turned into a job as long as someone's willing to spend the money on it. Right. So we have, let's see, wherever. Panzer says the government could also have people dig and fill trenches, and this would create jobs. So people use examples like this. It's like, is anybody proposing that? Not me. These are all things people can already do. They're choosing not to because they have other things that are more important to them, right? That's the only reason people are not doing productive work, is because they're busy. Why are they looking for work then? Now here, Invincible Numinist said the interstate highway system also ruined local economies and provided an indirect subsidy to both truck companies and corporations who needed to shift heavy goods. You're going to have to try to justify that. Ruined local economies? No, it shifted some things around, You build a new freeway, Route 66 might not be as popular anymore, but that's not ruining local economies. You could make an argument it ruined local cultures where little towns became just exits off of the highway. But that's different. It's undeniable that if you take people's money and spend it on stuff, they'll use it, but that proves nothing other than, okay, we are in a country club, the USA, and if you want access to the grounds, you got to pay the fee. Nobody's stealing your money. There are other countries, and I would also like to point this out. These countries do not have a controlling authority, so they're in this market, right? The invisible hand gives you all the options you're supposed to have. If you don't want to leave your country, just pay the taxes, shut up, and try to, argue about how they're spent. But this whole idea of steals the money. And I guess I don't have to read all the comments, but the other thing is I pointed out, when people join together on a large scale and organize something, we tend to call that government. He says, no, I'd call a large scale organization. Well, where's the example? And the point is, that's what I want to call the government. He says, but monopoly on violence within a geographical area more accurately reflects the government. Well, you know what? Governments don't have that in the U.S. anyway. They don't have. First of all, you can see there's all kinds of people doing violence. Okay. Second, there are examples where that's allowed. A bouncer is allowed to forcibly eject somebody from the bar. Okay, that's a kind of violence. You are allowed to do that. You're allowed to force somebody off your property. You are allowed, when you own a property, to use force. So there's no monopoly. Also, we don't have one government. In any given city, there's a city government, a county government, a state government, and a federal government. Plus, there's all kinds of multiple organizations within each of those levels, different federal organizations with different jurisdiction. That's not a monopoly. Right? The county police can come and arrest you, and the state police can come and arrest you. It's not a monopoly. You have to use the right word. Okay? The state regulates what legitimate use of force is, but it does not maintain a monopoly on application of that force at all. Just period. This is not true. There's multiple controlling authorities, and people are given authority to use force within the bounds of those regulations that are social. They don't own just dictum. We vote on them. So, the other thing is he mentions in here about older, friendly, the friendly societies of old didn't demand that you up and leave your home if you didn't want to participate in them. You're wrong. First of all, there were no friendly societies as far as I'm concerned, but the villages, yeah, if you weren't with the program, they'd kick you out. That's one of the most ancient ways of dealing with stuff like that, exile. So, I don't know where you're getting that. There is no friendly societies of old. Political philosophers are fond of talking about the state of nature. What would you have in the wild, just living in the forest, in the jungle? And do we have a better situation than that now? I think that we do, obviously, through longevity and a lot of material measures, there's a better thing that way. Now, psychologically, I think also we do, but there are obviously things interfering, and there's oppression in the world that where those people don't seem like they were better off, but they could be. And I think the problem is what we need to maintain from the state of nature is you need commodities, right? It used to be you could go out and just find the water. You could find a piece of land. Okay, well, as those things get crowded, we have to simulate free access to certain things. It used to be I could just walk in any direction. There were no roads. It was hard to get everywhere. Now there's roads. I could be quicker, but the road could be private. I believe in the right to pass, to not be landlocked and so on, so that you can go from one place to another with the power of your own feet or whatever vehicle you can construct. And we need to do this with we need to bring new commodities in that wouldn't be in the state of nature, like educational system, and so on. But this harkening back to friendly societies of old, no. Societies of old are domineering. Personally domineering to the extreme. It's one of the things that seems pretty ubiquitous even in societies that were, gentle, on the gentler side. Let's say the California Native Americans. You're still indoctrinated into a mindset, a group mindset, and you play a role in that. And of course they would kick you out. So I don't really understand the complaints, except for I want to call my governments large-scale organizations. They don't govern except for in regulating, like an electrical governor. They're not the boss governor anymore. They are infrastructural support organizations. They're like an IT department. They may have control over the root password, but it's your computer. They're there to do a service. Okay, cheers. Bye. I do. I hope, Invincible Numinous, that you decide to reply. I like talking to you. We've never really gotten into it. I've always wanted to sort of lock horns a little bit more because I think you're capable. Cheers.